Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to Military Surplus Brothers. Today we've got a really interesting pistol for you. Some that you might actually own, because these are fairly common in the United States. The TT-33 Tokarev. Or, well, to be honest, this is actually the Polish model. This is the wz.33, I believe is what they call it. But it's the Polish model of the Tokarev design. Fairly simple, standard pistol. It's a semi-automatic, designed in the mid-1930s, hence the model designation, by Fyodor Tokarev. You may know Tokarev as the designer of the SVT-40, which is a very awesome rifle, which unfortunately is very expensive in the United States also. If you move to Canada, I understand it's less expensive. This gun is different. It is, I understand, modeled on the 1903 Browning, which is also a semi-automatic, and it has a light release. Like that. There's a slide release there. This one has a few quirky issues. We've actually replaced several springs in it, but it works pretty well. It is in 7.62 by 25, which we have some of the ammo over here for. Actually, the Red Army Standard is what we were just shooting. That is the most common, I guess, least expensive Tokarev ammo you can currently find in the United States. And next to it, we have something where you go, that's not the correct ammo. You would be right. 7.63 Mauser is actually what's on the right side. It's from Fiocchi or Fiocchi. I haven't really decided how that's pronounced. But it is 7.63 Mauser. And that is actually what Tokarev's rounds are based on. Now, I'll show you two of these side by side. If you come in here and look on the table. If I didn't tell you which one of those was which, you might not know. Some of you are very intelligent. If you've ever shot Red Army Standard, you know that the 7.62 by 25 is on the right, and the 7.63 Mauser is actually on the left. Hopefully the camera is focusing on that. Wait a second. That's 7.63 by Fiocchi. That is 7.62, both by 25 millimeter. The case length is the same, or the cartridge length is the same. And it happens that because Tokarev is actually based on 7.63 Mauser, that you can actually use it in 7.62 by 25 Tokarev guns. So in this case, we've actually found that I get a really good deal at my job buying that, or I did at one point. They actually don't have any anymore. I kind of bought them out. So if any of you were wanting to get that deal, too bad. Also, you don't know where I work, so haha. But we actually reload for this as well at the channel, so it's an interesting little caliber for us. Let's do a little bit more shooting. We'll see how this gun patterns, and then we'll give you a little bit more of the breakdown and how the gun all works. Alright, we're going to shoot 7.63 Mauser through the Tokarev now. There are a lot of questions if you go to forums online as to whether you can shoot this ammo in a Tokarev. There are actually questions about whether you can shoot Tokarev in a Mauser. Don't shoot the Tokarev ammo in a Mauser because it's higher pressure, but you can shoot the 7.63 in a Tokarev if you, for some reason, have a large stockpile of it, like I do. Here is what we're going to do. We've got 8 rounds of Fiocchi 7.63 Mauser loaded up. We're going to load it in the gun, see how she runs. Spoiler alert, I've actually done this, so I know it won't blow up my gun, but here we go. Alright, here we go. Left side target. That was a pretty good group there. I'm pretty happy with that, actually. Given that this gun is, I don't know, 3 times as old as I am, I'm actually very impressed by that. Very good. And now, of course, it's time for the lightning round, the game that we like to play here at Military Surplus Bros called Can I Hit Anything with a Russian Service Pistol? Round 3. Let's see, we've got a Tokarev TT-33 from Poland, some 7.63 Mauser, and 6 white plates down there. Let's see what I can do. And of course, put my earring protection in so I can watch and edit this video later. Here we go. And eye protection so I can see it. Alright, here we go. And I'm going to use some Kentucky windage here. No offense to the people from Kentucky. We have found this thing that shoots a little low and left. I think. I was close there. There we go. Hey. For me, and a gun made in 1952, which is, not to make any of my viewers feel old as my parents are, so not bad. I'm pretty impressed with that, actually. Go Russia. Or Poland. Alright, welcome back everybody. We're going to do a little bit more shooting. You will notice that my clothing has changed a little bit. My beard's changed, my hat has changed, my glasses have changed. It's about a year and a half after the original footage was shot. I know we haven't been on a lot recently, but I'm going to try to get this one out to you pretty quickly. We are going to shoot a little bit more of the Tokarev. I'll show you guys a disassembly portion, which should be pretty short, but I'll do that on tabletop in a separate location. We've got a Texas Star downrange here, and I'm going to see if I can shoot the plates off here, and we'll see what I can do. Same as before, we have, of course, our Polish Tokarev, which is clear currently. We've got two magazines, one with the 7.63 Mauser, one with the 7.62 Tokarev from Century. And we'll see, I think we'll start with the Tokarev there first, see how we can do here. All right, I'm going to put my ears back on and see what we've got. Here we go. Apparently not with that one. I'm not going to do it. Let's try some 7.63 Mauser. And we are loaded. Okay. Here we go. There we go. Jam. I think. There we go. It's an old pistol. What do you expect? There we go. And it jammed again, which I guess is a good sign. We'll stop there. We'll get this thing sorted out and maybe shoot another one. So I have my magazines marked for a reason. Number 1 is actually an original magazine and works properly. Magazine number 2 is not. It's a new production and does not work properly, which is why we were having a jamming issue there. So I'm going to switch back to magazine number 1 and see if we can get that to work there. All right, let's take that number 2. We'll try that again with the correct magazine, magazine number 1, which is actually old and surplus and works, which is kind of ironic because the new one doesn't work. All right, we'll try that again. Here we go. My ear in here. We have a magazine loaded. That one doesn't jam up. This is the old one, so we'll see what we got here. All right, here we go. Oh, if I do my part. There we go. There we go. Clean trigger pull. There we go. Hey, not bad. And the gun is empty. Just on time. Just enough. Alright, welcome to the disassembly portion of this video. We're going to take apart our Polish Tokarev here, or really any Russian or Romanian or what have you variant of this pistol. They're all essentially mechanically the same thing. First thing you want to do when you're taking apart any pistol is to drop the magazine, which we'll put it over there, and ensure that the gun is in fact not loaded, which it's not. So we can see that empty chamber. Okay. Now we are going to first take off of our grips here, which is a bit difficult to do on camera, but you have a little cross pin that you push over here with our screwdriver. That grip will fall off. This is a good time to show that part. So this thing kind of rotates in and out and kind of sits back behind that portion of the grip, and that's how it stays on. So you get that portion of the grip. The other one is very easy. You can see there's just a cross pin that rotates left and right. You take your screwdriver there and knock that out that way. Okay. Now, you will, of course, again, make sure it's unloaded. It is. We're going to push this slide release out. The way to do that is to take your fingernail, and I don't really have any fingernails today, so I'm going to take my screwdriver and push across here. It's a bit difficult to do, so sorry that my hands are covering this up. That whole assembly comes back and forth there. Once you've got that out, it comes off. Thankfully, this gun's not in just immaculate shape or anything. In fact, you can see there's a fair amount of pitting on the gun. Overall finish on it's not great anyway, so I'm okay with taking my screwdriver, but if you're not, something softer or your fingernails in fact will work. Once you've got that out, you can push this pin out, take that out from the other side. You want to do this while it's not pulled back so that you don't have a tremendous amount of spring tension on your firearm. Pull that out there. This comes out of the swinging link for the pistol. You'll push your slide forward slightly, holding this guide rod spring slightly. You can depress that here. This is a bit difficult to see again. Depress that and turn your bushing. Or what I prefer to do when you're taking it apart anyway is just to hold that spring in and remove the whole slide from the firearm. Now there's your frame and trigger assembly. We'll come back to them in a second. You need to be a little careful about that so that it doesn't fly across the room. That's why I put my hand back here. That spring and guide rod and plug will all come out at once once you do that. Now a lot of people tell you that you're really supposed to take the bushing off there and then let it come out this direction. That's mildly dangerous and you will lose parts as well, and that's actually evidenced by the fact that this little piece flew out the front of the gun and into my living room somewhere earlier. So what you can do then is take your bushing off by rotating it 180 degrees. It comes there originally. If you try to pull it off here, it won't come off. If you try to pull it off here, as you do with the 1911, it won't come off. You have to go all the way upside down and then pull it off. Okay. Now, counterintuitive to most pistols in the United States, you cannot take this barrel out by lifting up and pulling out this direction. What you have to do is turn that swinging link down, pull up slightly on the muzzle end, and then pull it actually out the front. If you try to pull it out the back, it will not work. It's actually locked in there by the slide itself. So again, make sure that that's pushed down and then pull out. Okay, now that's basically the entire disassembly of the pistol. You can of course take the trigger group out there as well, and then you've got a completely field stripped Tokarev. Now, to put everything back together is kind of the reverse process. You're going to take your frame, of course, put your trigger assembly back in there. So we've got that part. We're going to put your barrel back in. So you have to kind of come from the back, remember. Put that back in there. Lock it down in the lugs. Turn your link back up. Okay. You're going to take your spring assembly, kind of put it back from the rear of the slide here, push that through there. You're going to make sure that your guide rod is turned downward, that the arced portion is facing the top here, or really the bottom of the pistol in any case, but that your swinging link is upward like that, so that it's not going to cause issues for disassembly later. You'll now put your frame back on your pistol. Okay, so you align these two portions up here, which somewhat more easy to do when you're not trying to show this for a camera. Okay, you line those up. Once you've done that, you need to make sure that your linkage gets back in there for the slide stop. This is just finagly and it's hard to show on camera, but you need to make sure that this portion goes in there and that it goes through the slide linkage on the barrel. If it doesn't, your pistol will not work. So I'm going to make sure very quickly that that does occur. There. Which is again, a little fiddly. Okay. After many tries. There we are. I think. Okay, after many tries I've found the linkage. There it is. Alright, it goes right back in there. You should be able to more or less dry cycle the gun there, which I can, which is good. Before we put this spring back in, which again will go flying if it's under tension, we're going to go ahead and press this bar across to make sure that our slide release does not come out. Therefore it's actually captive by this pin. We will now take extra care to make sure that the barrel is actually in battery, which now it is. You can see the whole silver portion here. You're going to take this spring. I'm going to try to do this because I'm right-handed. You take this spring and depress it and place your bushing back on. And this is how I managed to lose a spring end piece into my living room earlier. So be very careful about this. It is under a fair amount of spring tension, especially if you have new springs, as I do. Had to replace these with Wolf springs earlier this year. They will go places, so just be very careful when you're performing this portion of the task. Again, that bushing's got to go upside down there, 180 degrees. You'll turn that back. Ooh, before I lose a piece, you'll turn that back 180 degrees the other direction. Again, very fiddly, so my apologies there. Turn that back 180 degrees, making sure that that pin comes back out, which it has now. So you can see that that should be flush there with the muzzle. Okay, that's the basic reassembly. You can put your grips back on, which is again a bit fiddly. You want to put the one with the little crossbar there back on first, which will go on your right side of your pistol. Again, you just take your screwdriver and put that back on there. You'll take your other grip and orient that with the sling swivel, or not the sling swivel, the lanyard loop down here, which is again a bit fiddly because you can't see it now. It will recess itself, hopefully, if you don't have it in the closed position. There we go. Again, just pay attention to where those pins are, where that line is. And you should be able to put this back down in here, but there we go. Hey, there we go. Romanian grips on a Polish gun don't really want to cooperate. And then you just kind of cross that back over there, and you've got a reassembled, hopefully fully functional Tokarev. And then you can, of course, decock there. If your aftermarket safety is not on there. There we go. All right, so there's your reassembled Tokarev. Hopefully that wasn't tremendously confusing. I am no expert on this, but I have a cursory understanding of how it goes together and comes apart. So hopefully that was helpful. And we'll get you guys out of here. Thanks for watching Military Surplus Brothers. If you like this kind of thing, we're hopefully coming out with a little bit more of it in the coming weeks and months. Military surplus, shooting, blowing up milk jugs, that kind of thing. So we'll see you guys later.